Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Pat Kappas with Explore Asheville's community engagement team, and I'd like to thank you for joining us this morning for our partner salon. Before we get started, a quick housekeeping note to let you know that we are recording this webinar and we'll be posting it on the AshevilleCVB.com website, so you can view it afterwards, along with the PowerPoint file that you're seeing today. And while we won't be doing Q&A, you can always reach out to any of our team members with questions or for more discussion at any time. So today our topic is Get Group Ready. Most people think of the Asheville area as a leisure travel destination, but as many of you know, our community has a lot to offer for group travel, anything from corporate business conferences and trade shows to sporting events, weddings, motor coach tours, and more. So on our agenda today, we'll hear from Marshall Hilliard, the VP of Sales, who will share insight on how the sales team promotes the Asheville area for group business. We'll also hear from Carly Adams, the Group Communication and Services Manager, who will go into detail on how they service the groups once they're here. And then we have a special treat. We'll hear directly from 3 of our tourism partners to get tips from the pros on how they're taking advantage of the group market. And then I'll jump back on for a quick overview on how best to optimize your business's presence on our platforms, exploreasheville.com, to take advantage of the sales team's efforts. So with that, I'll turn it over to Marshall.
Thank you, Pat, and good morning, everyone, and happy 2022. I'm looking forward to our session today. Since we are virtual and did not get a chance to network prior to the meeting, I thought we'd start with a poll just so everyone can get an idea of who's in the audience and their connection to the group market. So we'll put these poll questions up and give everyone a glance at the results. Everybody ready? So get your mouse ready to answer the poll. Question number 1, what type of business do you represent? We'll give you a few seconds to make your choice, whether you'd be a food and beverage restaurant, lodging or private venue, attraction, tour experience, or other. All right, go ahead and display the results. Oh, pretty good mix of overall various partners. So that's good. All right, next question. Do you host groups of visitors? Just curious if this is a new market you are targeting, or if you already work in the group market. Give us a couple more seconds to answer this quick question. Okay, go ahead and display. Okay, great. Lots of experience in the group market, which is helpful to know. All right, last question. Have you ever hosted a group who is part of a visiting meeting or a motor coach before? This is another yes or no question. Hosted a group that is part of a meeting or motor coach group before. All right, display. Okay, some good experience here, but some that have not experienced part of that. So hopefully that will give you an overview or some insight into who your fellow Zoomers are today. This will also help us as we tailor parts of this presentation moving forward. All right, next slide. Moving into the program. Meet the team. I wanted to introduce our group sales and service team. I'll get to their specific markets and responsibilities a little bit later. All total, the team represents an impressive 44 years of service with Explore Asheville, and in most cases, more service in the hospitality industry in Asheville. They all work hard to recruit group business to our wonderful destination. Next slide. Who is our client audience? Who are we recruiting to Asheville? Meeting planners, group tour operators, wedding and event planners, and sports events planners. And then on the right side there, you see some nice photos of some of our recent engagement activities at trade shows and various travels. You may have seen our strategic imperatives. Listed here are the group sales strategic objectives within those imperatives. Accelerate proactive sales efforts to increase the net new business to the destination, deploy the sales team in alignment with broader economic development sectors, and I'll get into that a little bit later too. Create local referral group of influencers within the community, drive revenue and need periods through updated group sales strategy, encourage safe and responsible travel. We want to increase our number of bookings that participate in community projects, engage and invite more diverse audiences. We want to increase our outreach in DEI meetings and events, and promote and support Asheville's creative spirit. We want to actively promote our creative community and resources to groups and events. Next slide. These are our guiding principles, what our team shows up for, to do on a daily basis, to be additive, to focus on new business and the quality of the visit, to be balanced, to pursue and book off-peak business throughout the year and focus on specific need periods, to be aligned, to attract business aligned with our strategic pillars, economic development sectors, and community assets. Next slide. Alignment with economic development. Earlier this year, we developed a partnership with the Economic Development Coalition for Asheville-Buncombe County. These are the 5 sectors that the EDC is targeting for business relocation into Asheville: outdoor products, climate and environment, advanced manufacturing, life sciences, and technology. We have been targeting these sectors and focusing on these with all that Asheville has to offer. The reality is that many industry leaders' first exposure to a destination is at a meeting or event. So we want to encourage that and hopefully get the relocation for the greater good of the economics of Asheville. Next slide. Our segments. This is a snapshot of our segments of group business in the last 5 years. Associations at 37%. Examples are North Carolina Bar Association, American Heart Association. Quickly learned that there are associations for everything. We just went to the association meeting of association executives. So that's kind of ironic. Sports represents 32% of room nights in Asheville. Our team works closely with Dent Bradford of the Sports Commission and his team to recruit sporting events. Recent successes are the Billie Jean King Cup and also the American Cornhole Group that was just here a couple of weeks ago. Our biggest annual sporting event is, of course, the Southern Conference basketball tournament coming up in March. Next slide. Where does our business currently come from? 80% is from the broader Southeast and Mid-Atlantic geography. I think we do have an ability to become more national with all that Asheville has to offer. Next slide. Peak rooms. How large are our groups? You'll see here that 60% of our definite bookings are less than 50 rooms, and a total of 78% of our definite bookings are less than 100 rooms. So we are heavy in the small and mid-sized event space. Next slide. Lead time. Many people are curious how far in advance our group business is booked. Our most common time frame is 3 to 6 months at 31% of the bookings and 20% of the room nights. The second highest time frame is 7 to 12 months with 27% of both the bookings and the room nights. So this should help you get an idea of a planner's time frame with executing various parts of their meeting or event. Weekday, weekend. This is a good story. Everyone knows that midweek is where we need the business. This slide shows that the 4-year average through June of this year is 46% of midweek. And if you go to the next slide, since the start of this fiscal year, we have moved the midweek booking percentage to 56%, which we're all excited about, and we'll work to improve that even more. Lead volume. Our volume of new leads has been up and down since July. We compare here to 2019 due to the pandemic that we've all been going through. So we were all excited to see October and November eclipse 2019, but then December dropped off, which we feel is related to the Omicron variant. The good news is January is off to a great start. Our team will be the first to tell you that it's been a very busy January, and we are currently pacing ahead of our 2019 January lead pace. National trends. I thought it would be helpful to include some national updates for the meetings industry. We follow the North Star Pulse survey, and the national survey for planners surveyed is a little bit of a mixed bag. When asked about the number of meetings planners expected in 2022, 25% said more, while only 18% said more in May. On the flip side, in May, 50% said they would be doing about the same number of events. And in December, that dropped 10% to 40%. But on the next slide, there's a national trend that I think bodes well for us in Asheville. This is the first time that it's happened with this North Star poll, but when asked what ranks most important to planners in this recent national survey, the answer is return on experience. And I see this as a plus for Asheville moving forward with all the experiences to see and do in our destination. This is our deployment, a map of the country that the team splits. Tina Porter handles the West and Midwest, as well as sports, outdoor industry, and health and wellness nationally. Catherine Dewey manages North Carolina up through the Northeast with a focus on life science and pharmaceutical and climate and technology. And Catherine's currently on maternity leave. Danielle Lemaster is filling in for her, as many of you know. And Connie Holliday has the extended Southeast, along with technology, manufacturing, and diversity nationally. Beth McKinney does all adventure travel, weddings, group tour, reunions, and smaller Smurf bookings. And then I handle the industry partner meetings. Client connectivity. So far in this fiscal year, since July 1, we have conducted 5 client events, Atlanta, Las Vegas, which was during IMEX, Chicago, and 2 here in Asheville. We've had 16 trade shows, regionally, nationally, and internationally focused, and total person-to-person contacts, 4172. Person-to-person contacts are combinations of personal visits, phone, and email outreach to prospective customers. Next slide, you have a glimpse of our trade shows that we've recently done and continuing through the first quarter calendar year here. I won't go through all of them today, but they are posted on our website, as well as a list of events that are open for partners to join. 48-hour FAM. 3 times a year, we bring in qualified national meeting planners to experience the destination, get a feel for our group offerings. We just hosted one in November. We actually have booked business, 3 in the hopper, 2 already confirmed from our last FAM in November. This are some images of part of the experiences that took place during that FAM. If anyone is interested in getting involved in a FAM, please let me know. It is difficult to accommodate everyone. A lot of it is determined by the customer's preferences, but they only also have 48 hours. So the goal is for them to come back with the groups and events that they represent. Asheville Business Council, Business Events Council. This is a new initiative this year. The council is a cross-section of local leaders to leverage the power and success of the travel and hospitality community to lift up business sectors in the local economy. The members are primarily within the 5 sectors we covered earlier. We've had one meeting already, and we have another coming up in March. And this is a plea to all of you. You don't need to be a member of the Events Council or a customer in a far-off place. Everyone sells, basically. And within your own networks, whether it be professional associations, weddings, reunion groups, hobby groups, if there's anything that you can connect to us to help sell the destination, we'll do all the heavy lifting and do the work for you. This is our incentive plan. Events who source through our office have eligibility for incentives up to $10,000. We will be announcing a new plan shortly that's even richer for a short time frame to help get us through this recent Omicron variant hump. And next, I'll turn it over to Carly Adams to talk about group services and communications. Thanks, Carly.
Thank you, Marshall. Good morning, everybody. I'm going to share a bit more about the client services offered by our team and the specific needs of meeting planners. And to start, we're going to share a video that illustrates how the partnership between Explore Asheville and meeting planners works. Our free services illustrated in the video are time-saving and supportive and help encourage a planner to select Asheville. Our services are designed to enhance the planning experience and Asheville's reputation as a top meeting destination. So next slide for the video. Okay, so meeting planners want to understand the destination experiences they can plan for their attendees. And they often have a goal to authentically connect their attendees to the host city. This could be through the food, the scenery, the arts, a special venue, the local people and the local businesses, local expert who offers tours. Next slide, please. So planners may look for the following for their itineraries: team building or other large group friendly activities. These could happen on site at the host hotel, or they could have enough time to transport the group to the experience. They may have a need for a venue for an event away from their host hotel. And some planners want to incorporate a service project, and this could be an on-site donation, an on-site project, or a more intensive activity like a cleanup. They may look for a local expert to speak on a panel or a local professional for a keynote address. And many planners want to understand the group dining options in a destination. This means they want to understand which restaurants have private rooms, how many people fit in those private rooms, or which restaurants can host a buyout. They may also have a need to understand which restaurants can host groups of like 10 or more. If there's a free night where attendees are encouraged to go out and dine on their own, the planner may provide a list of group-friendly restaurants. And of course, if there are organized offsite activities or events, they'll need transportation. So planners may talk with us here at Explore Asheville for ideas for these itinerary items, or they may use exploreasheville.com or an internet search to discover ideas. And there are also conference and event planners that work directly with the hotel sales team to book their meeting, meaning they don't necessarily work with Explore Asheville. So therefore, group-specific content on your Explore Asheville listing, having group-specific content on your own business website, including capacities, and creating relationships with group sales at conference hotels are also tips to connect with this customer audience. Next slide. So through the team sales efforts that Marshall explained, our database of planners is ever growing. Our team stays connected via email with promotions and quarterly newsletters and other inspiring messaging, all with the intent of inspiring planners to consider Asheville for a future meeting or event and to keep Asheville top of mind. Okay, now back to Marshall.
Thanks, Carly. I wanted to just outline a couple of the engagement opportunities, a few of these for you to consider before we get into our team of experts that's going to guide you through some of their suggestions, which we think can be very beneficial as well. So the first suggestion is creating and updating a group-focused listing on exploreasheville.com. Pat is going to go into much more detail on this, so I'll let her take that lead. But I will tell you that our group sales team, when it comes to the group-focused listings, they do use those as well for their internal knowledge when they're speaking to customers, so keep that in mind. Attending Explore Asheville events to get to know staff, and more importantly, to also network with businesses that offer group experiences, events such as today. We also have a multitude of social gatherings as well, where there's network opportunity. Join Explore Asheville on a sales trip or a trade show. On our website, as mentioned earlier, is our full listing of trade show and travels throughout the year. And we have some of those designated as opportunities to join us. So take a look at that, reach out to those that are listed on the pages, and we'd love to have you join us. Sharing information and updates about your group offerings with the Explore Asheville team. Send us any newsworthy items, such as renovations, new offerings, certainly any press releases around your businesses, client newsletters, etc. Those would be helpful to be generated through the team. And then if you are an event venue, which we did have a good number of on the poll, consider hosting one of our DOS meetings. The meetings DOS group with all the meetings hotels meets quarterly. And if you'd like to host the group to show your venue, please reach out to me and I will make that happen. Thank you. All right, now you've heard from us, and we'd like to offer some tips from a few of our partners about attracting more group business. Special thanks to Melissa Murray of Mosaics Group, Kyle Samples of Lazoom, and Nicole Will with Asheville Wellness Tours. We appreciate your time and joining us today to share tips about working in the group space. And first up is Melissa. Take it away, Melissa.
Great. Well, good morning, everybody. And thank you, Marshall, for putting this all together, and Carly and team. Very excited to talk about group business. So I'm sure I know quite a few of you on the call. I can't see you. But for those of you that don't know, Mosaics Group is involved in corporate meeting planning. We also have DMC, or Destination Management divisions, that operate here in Asheville, and we also have an office in Charlotte. And what does that mean? Well, when groups come to Asheville, they need to enjoy a lot of what you have to offer. And we help those planners put everything together, from tours, transportation, to an amazing dinner, and maybe a really eclectic evening at a gallery or something like that. There's others on this call, including Kyle and Nicole, who who do an amazing job with groups, and we've engaged with them to bring a lot of group activities together for our clients. So a couple points in working with groups. Right now, times are challenging. I think we all can agree on that. It's been a crazy 2 years. And we need to understand that when we're doing our cancellation clauses in our contracts. At no point will we want a supplier or someone we're working with to lose money. That's never an intention. Everything needs to be fair in contracts. And what does that mean? Well, when we do our contracts with our clients, we bill, if a contract cancels, we bill them for the time spent on the contract and reasonable cancellation fees. We don't bill them for everything unless we have to because it cancels right before. So take a look at your cancellation contracts or cancellation clauses in your contracts. I can say all those C's. And make sure they're fair to you so that you're retaining time, anything that you've expenses that have been involved in booking this client, but make sure it's also fair to the client, because I can tell you corporate groups aren't like social. They don't get as emotional on a venue or restaurant as a wedding might. They're not going to book it, no matter if it's the best venue in town or whatever the parameters are. They're going to be very cautious about those cancellation contracts. We're dealing with groups not only in Asheville, but domestically and internationally. And we're seeing, and that's been true before the pandemic, but it's even more true now. So just take a look at those contract cancellation clauses and just make sure they're fair to you so you're not losing money, but also fair to the client. And if this doesn't make sense, anybody's welcome to contact me after. I know quite a few of you in the call have contacted me just to get clarification on things and suggestions. I'm always open to helping our supplier partners in the Asheville or Charlotte area. One thing, we've all made quite a few mistakes. If you own your business, if you're working in a business, if you're, if you're breathing now, you've made lots of mistakes, right? So learn from those mistakes, own the mistakes. We're all, things are changing. Make sure you own those. Debrief with the team so that everybody can learn from that mistake and then move on. And speaking of your team, make sure they're empowered so that they can make mistakes and take chances. Because if they're anything like my team, a lot of them are much smarter than I, so they can, I know a few of you guys are on this call and they'll probably agree with that, but so that those team members can make mistakes. Be agile. So the next slide over. So it's a new economy. It's not the big fish that eats the small fish. It's the fast fish which eats the slow fish. You got to be quick. Make sure that you're transforming to this new economy and not expecting your clients to bend towards you. You need to see what the opportunities are and how you need to run your business more than saying, this is the way I've always done it. Now more than ever, that's not appropriate. Keep evaluating, keep improving. And then Explore Asheville team. We've been working with them for over 20 years. They've always been a great team, and right now is no exception. They're do a ton on our behalf. I've seen it year over year and event after event. But what do they know about you? There's a lot of us out there. Make sure they know your offerings. Don't just say, hey, read this. Make sure they understand your offerings. There's a lot of us. Be kind and gentle with, trying to get them to understand what you do. Just, wait your turn if you can't get in touch with somebody immediately. Make sure your information's up to date on their website, and they have a lot of ground to cover. So, as things get change in your industry or with your specific venue or activity, make sure they're aware of that. If it's an activity, bring them out, or if it's a venue, host them for lunch or something like that. So, just help them know you, and that'll help you and them in the long run. Again, Melissa Murray, email address is there. If you guys have, I've been doing corporate events for domestic and international for over 30 years. If there's anything I can do, please shoot me an email. I'd be happy to help anybody on this call. Thanks, Marshall.
All right. Thank you, Melissa. I really like your comments on being agile. I mean, speed to market is so important, and it's getting pretty competitive out there. So I also love your title of Chief Encouragement Officer.
Yeah, that's what you need right now. And you do need to be agile. I mean, you got to keep looking for opportunity. You know, we are an event management company that actually did fine through the pandemic, believe it or not, because talented team that was allowed to make mistakes and was agile. So we learned the hard way consistently all through the pandemic. So
Yeah, that's great. And your pup is adorable. Thank you again.
love dogs. That's
right.
everybody's favorite office companion here.
That's great. All right, next up is Kyle Samples, General Manager of Lazoom, with some tips as well. Thank you, Kyle, for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Hope everybody's staying nice and warm today. My name is Kyle. I'm the GM at Lazoom Tours. We are a comedy tour bus company. We provide history tours, brewery tours, kids tours, and ghost tours. In addition to the daily public tours that we provide, we also do around 130 private group tours in a normal year. These are some of the things that we've kind of learned over the past few years doing a lot of private tours. The first thing is making it easy to book. Prior to 2021, if you wanted to book a private group tour with Lazoom, you had to do it over the phone. It was very time consuming because I was the only one booking them. So during the pandemic shutdown, we had a chance to overhaul our private group tour booking process. We found a new reservation system that could handle taking deposits online. We shored up our private tour calendar. So now you can go on lazoomtours.com and book your private group all the way through December of 2022. We also have a dedicated page just for groups. Includes great pictures, descriptions of our offerings, and a dedicated FAQ section that answers a lot of the baseline questions. We also list our price, which I think is becoming more and more standard in the industry. It also helps kind of answer a lot of those questions right up front without having to get on the phone with somebody. The number one question we get asked with private groups is, what is your cancellation policy? And on group tours, we offer a full refund of the deposit if you cancel at least 30 days prior from the start of the tour. Offering a full refund takes the fear out of group planners when they're trying to schedule, 14 different activities while they're here in Asheville. If they can get their money back, there's a good chance they're going to book now, and odds are they're not going to back out. If you can go to the next slide, please. Take care of your staff. We include gratuity in our final price for all private group tours, no exceptions on that. This might seem obvious, but it really helps the staff to know that they are getting a little extra because most private groups require extra attention. And finally, always give Explore Asheville a taste. They're a great group of people. It's really important to take care of them. Every couple of years, we offer a complimentary private tour for their staff because the only way that they can sell our product is if they've experienced it for themselves. Speaking of which, we need to get you guys back on the bus soon. If anybody has any questions about anything I've gone over today, my email address is there, kyle@lazoomtours.com. Love to help you out. Thanks.
Thanks, Kyle. And I'm seeing a theme here of flexibility in these times. But your comments about making it easy to do business with and taking care of your staff really resonate as well. And I'm sure it does with our audience too. All right, our final expert is Nicole Will. Nicole is with Asheville Wellness Tours, and she has a few tips to share as well. Thanks, Nicole.
Yeah, pleased to not see all of you, but know that you're there. I'm with Asheville Wellness Tours. We build mini retreats for our guests from a really unique and ever-expanding menu of wellness-forward experiences like forest bathing, tarot readings, yoga hikes, massage, and a lot more. I'd say the number one thing I've learned about working from groups, and this actually came from the great Melissa Murray, is that having a clear, concise menu of your most common group-specific offerings can save you and the group coordinator a ton of time. Having important information like Carly referenced a lot of these pieces, but bullet points, skimmable, what is your price? What are your group size minimum and maximums if you have size constraints, time commitment required, location, all of those critical pieces. It's super important that the planner can just see those right off the bat. This is something that I struggle with and I'm actually still working on. But that flowery language that you might use to attract a leisure traveler, you can basically just throw that away. Throw some really nice photos in there instead. That whole worth 1,000 words thing, let them do the work for you. And then once you have that really solid menu as a foundation, feel free to be creative and be ready to be creative. And this goes along with that flexibility theme. I struggle to think of a time that we offered one of our experiences as is or as it has always been. So we're constantly adapting our offerings to accommodate each group's unique needs. And I think that's really important. So it might look like abbreviating an experience, changing the location to flow more seamlessly with an itinerary, or even working in collaboration with other providers to completely customize the whole thing. And while you're doing that, though, I think it's really important to stay within your area of expertise and don't be afraid to say no. If it's not something that you do really well, it is totally fine to say that's outside of scope. Next. And there's another theme of connecting with Explore Asheville. You saw in Marshall's presentation that the group sales team is super impressive, at the top of their game in professionalism and experience. But it's important to remember that they're also an approachable, supportive group of folks who want to know what you're up to. So I will second some recommendations to just keep them updated with what you have going on. Drop them a note. Doesn't have to be a formal press release, just keep them in the loop. And overall, whether it's building that relationship with Explore Asheville, communicating with a group planner, it's important to remember that the timeline for these are much, much longer than those of a leisure traveler. So patience, consistency, flexibility, and creativity are key.
Thank you, Nicole. Really appreciate the kudos to our team, and also like your suggestion to keep in mind the lead time in working with groups. It's much longer than leisure, as I illustrated in the earlier presentation. So we really appreciate all of our experts. You will notice that each offered their email address for follow-up or for further discussion about working with the group market. Appreciate your time today. I'm going to turn it back over to Pat Kappas to talk about her areas of expertise with this topic and to close us out. Thank you, Pat.
Thank you, Marshall. And a huge, huge thanks to Melissa, Kyle, and Nicole. It's so helpful to hear your real world examples of how you're tapping into the group business opportunities. So we can go to the next slide. So what we're looking at here is the homepage of exploreasheville.com, no surprise, but each of the major group markets that Marshall discussed are highlighted in their own section on the website that can be accessed through the menu at the top. So 3 of these sections actually include business listings. And if you serve these markets, you can have a listing talking to the meeting planners and event organizers in these sections. So that's meeting planners, weddings, and motor coach are the sections where we have listings. So how can you get your business included in one of these sections? Well, let's move to the next slide. We actually have 4 different business listing types, if you were not aware. The website listing type, these are all things that you will see in the extranet. They're called website listing. That is where you're talking to a leisure traveler, and that appears in the other main sections of exploreasheville.com. But you can also have a meeting listing, which is where you want to talk to your meeting planners. You can have a wedding listing, is where you're talking to those destination wedding groups. And we also have motor coach listings, where you can address your content to tour bus group organizers. So it's super important to tailor your description and your photos for each of these audiences. And also, as Carly mentioned earlier, and our pros, just make sure that you have follow-up information on your own websites, speaking to these groups' offerings as well. So you can move to the next slide. So listing amenities, this is another way to convey your offerings to the group business segments. So when you log into the extranet, you should definitely take some time to review all the amenity offerings for meetings focused areas and select everything that applies to you. And these are things such as like the number of meeting rooms you have and their capacity for different setups, how many can you accommodate in theater setting or classroom setting? Or if you offer special, food menus for groups or you have motor coach parking. The more information you can provide to the planner, the better. An additional benefit available through the extranet for lodging properties is that serve the group market is the ability to receive leads. That's something that our sales team can work with you directly if you are not set up to receive those at this point. So moving on to the next slide, we have an example of a meetings listing for Highland Brewing Company. So Highland Brewing, not just a brewery, but also an event space. They did a great job of talking to the planner in their listing. The description says very clearly that their space can be a great fit for executive meetings and seminars. They populated all of the relevant amenities, as you can see in the lower left corner here. And then they also included photos of their space set up for a function to help the planner envision a group event at Highland. You can move on to the next one. And this next slide is another great example. This is an attraction, Adventure Center of Asheville, that has created a meetings type listing to focus exclusively on their group bookings. So they use their description to talk about their team building, corporate and motor coach offerings, and they included in their amenities that they offer group corporate rates and have motor coach parking and other things like tour group check-in. So this is something that you can also do. It's a whole page here, business profile, where you can talk to these different market segments. You can move to the next slide. So the community engagement team is here to support you through these efforts. And we have a couple different partner support options. On the AshevilleCVB.com website, we have a set of quick tutorial videos about working in the extranet, where to go to select those amenities and update your photos, etc. This is a great resource if you like a self-guided approach. You can go to the next slide. Or if you prefer to get assistance from a person and not a tutorial or video, you can schedule a one-on-one appointment with us. We host these sessions every Wednesday. If Wednesday doesn't work for you for some reason, please reach out and we'll accommodate your schedule. But on the website here, AshevilleCVB.com, you can go to this calendar and select a date and time that works for you. And then we'll send you a Zoom link, and we can conduct these meetings via Zoom, so we can do a screen share and walk you through all the extranet options and help you with whatever issues you're interested in. So you can go to the next slide. So when you book these appointments, you'll be meeting with a member of the community engagement team, as you can see here on the slide. And I'm very happy to announce that we have a new community engagement manager, Crystal Sheriff, who will be the primary point of contact for any assistance you need with your online presence. But the rest of the team is here to support you as well. And you can always reach out to the entire community engagement team by emailing partnersupport@exploreasheville.com. Next slide. So in summary, we have a few key takeaways here. But we would just like you to focus on optimizing your presence on our platforms for the group market. If you're serving these markets, let's get you set up with the individual listings for each audience. Ensure that you tailor your description and your photos, and take a look at those amenities again to make sure that you have all the group related amenities that apply to your business selected. And then also, we recommend engaging with the Explore Asheville team. As several so far have mentioned, it's great to continue building relationships with us. You can keep up with keep us up to date by emailing news@exploreasheville.com. This hits several members of our team. So as Nicole mentioned, doesn't have to be a formal press release. If you have anything new going on, or you just want to say hi and remind us, go ahead and send that informal outreach to news@exploreasheville.com. Also read our monthly Explore Asheville newsletters, which contain opportunities, and they are sent from Asheville CVB at exploreasheville.com. It's a great idea to go ahead and whitelist that, add that address to your contact list so they don't end up in your spam. And then also attend Explore Asheville industry events to network with our team and your fellow tourism partners. So we anticipate having many more in-person events in the near future. So I think that about wraps it up for today. We want to thank you for tuning in and hope you have a great day. And as a reminder, we will be posting a video of this presentation on ashevillecbb.com, so you can go back and refer to these great tips. Thanks so much, everyone.